Recently, former African Union ambassador to the United States, Dr. Arikana Chihombori-Quao, spoke to the graduating class at Cape Coast University in Ghana. She spoke during the 14th Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lectures on imperialism, colonialism, and neo-colonialism in Africa. Her theme was African Youth Rising, the Revolution Has Begun. Listen as she describes how African countries received fake independence during the 1950s and 60s independence movement. She uses a tree as a metaphor to describe the fake independence.
Went to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, they were divided. We had the Casa Blanca group, which was led by Kwame Nkrumah. It was Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. They were the Casablanca group that said Africa for the Africans and African Union now. They wanted change. They understood the importance of unity. They knew for Africa to move forward, Africa must speak with one voice. They demanded an Africa with one customs union, an Africa with one central bank, an Africa with one military, an Africa that was truly integrated, because it is only that Africa that's going to deliver true African liberation economically, politically, and otherwise. Failure to accomplish that is a defeat for the African people. There were only 7. The majority were the Monrovia group. There were 35. They said, let's kind of hold off on this unity thing. You see, they had tasted a little bit of this superficial, fake independence. Let's kind of go slow. 2024, we're still going slow. The Monrovia group were the majority, they won. We often say, Africa lost in 1963 when the Casablanca group succeeded at thwarting that which the Casablanca wanted. The Monrovia group failed us. Year in, year out, the African leaders would meet. The issue of an Africa that spoke with one voice was tabled, and year in and year out, NATO nations were in full force to say to it that the African leaders do not vote for an Africa that spoke with one voice. Not always they remain in full force to make sure that Africa never gets to be united. We have failed Africa. Our leadership has failed Africa. Allow me to describe what I call the African tree of life. A tree of life that once upon a time thriving. It gave the most luscious fruits, beautiful flowers. A tree that everybody counted on. A tree that fed the African people. Something happened. The flowers don't bloom as beautiful as they used to be. The branches keep falling off. The leaves are never as green and luscious as they should be. So they, through the media, mainstream media, through the NGOs who come in sheep's clothing, we know they are wolves. Through the embassies throughout Africa, they have made you believe that it's your problem. See, these fruits are not doing like they should. It's because it's your problem. Focus on the fruits. Focus on the leaves. Focus on the branches. They don't want you to focus on the root. You see, if you don't address the issues of the root, you will forever be talking about the flowers, the branches, and the leaves of this tree, year in and year out. And that's what we have been taught to believe. On top of that, while they continue to lie to us, while they continue to throw us a shiny object and want us to focus on frivolous things that do not address the root, don't forget, the biggest defeat was the mind. When they made us believe that white was bad, black is bad, you are like the devil, you represent the devil, your color is bad, and you must denounce even yourself. And when you're not denouncing yourself, you must praise them. Even though we know very well that their skin is a mutation of the original, which is you. The original DNA. Anybody else that does not look black is a mutation of the original thing. They made you forget that. They made you forget that. So you see, they set the stage. They've been lying to us for years, for centuries. They even taught you to hate yourself.
Dr. Arikana goes on to describe many African leaders as failures and multinational corporations as Africa's neo-colonizers. He describes how the youth in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso revolted against their leaders and forced some of the colonizers out of their countries. He described these events as the beginning of a peaceful economic liberation. Listen as he speaks.
Penny, just come. Now guys, let's have a serious conversation here. Who is stupid? Whose problem is it? We are the problem. What is leadership doing? Leadership is doing nothing. Leadership is voting on sheer stupidity. Stupidity that is causing us havoc. The same people who are abusing us, taking advantage of us, exploiting us, they are laughing at us because we are jokers. What are we doing in our parliaments? And that is why you see what's happening in Burkina Faso, what's happening in Niger, what's happening in Mali. The youth are saying, now we know. Now our eyes are open. Now we know who the real problem is. Yes, we know the enemy as the former colonizers. We know the enemy as the multinationals who are in our countries, siphoning as much as they can. Yes, we know the NGOs are nothing but wolf in sheep's clothing. Yes, we know some of the embassies are no good. They are there to make sure that the instability in our countries continue. We know all that. However, we also know that our leaders could stop it. So yes, it is that the youth are rising. The youth are saying, you leaders, if you do not do the right thing, we will replace you. So we need more Traores in Africa. What's happening in Burkina Faso must be supported. What's happening in Niger must be supported. What's happening in Mali must be supported. The youth of Africa are sick and tired of being sick and tired. The issues of the root must be addressed. World Bank must stop giving us frivolous loans. World Bank must treat Africa fairly. Ours is a simple ask. We are simply saying to the world, we demand Africa that can be treated fairly, an Africa that can be treated as equals on the world stage, an Africa that is free of racism, bigotry, and hate. Our ask is a simple one. Our position is of stating the facts, stating the truth, constants that do not change. We're simply asking that the world does unto us what they would want done unto them. Anybody that has an issue that Africa has taken is somebody who is under earth. We want a peaceful world. We want a world that is just. And that is all we are asking. That is all our children are asking. Our children are saying, we're tired of watching our uranium power 2/3 of France, while they call us a dark continent.
After Dr. Arikana was presented with an honorary degree, she issued a call to action to the women and students in the audience. She proclaimed that knowledge for essential economic liberation was mandatory and referenced books on Kwame Nkrumah and Confessions of an Economic Hitman as mandatory in understanding the struggle. Listen, learn, join the movement.
A woman king. Her Excellency Arikana Chihombori-Quao. May we hear your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, and thank you. To the Chancellor, Dr. Honorable Sam Jonah, to the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Johnson, to the faculty, staff members, and of course, our children, to the majesties in the room, to the diplomatic corps, I receive this award on behalf of all the women of the world. As African women, we are acutely aware that this moment is a moment for the woman. Our men, I'm sorry to say, Chancellor, have failed us. Our men have sat in boardrooms for centuries. Our men have sat in leadership roles. They have engaged in negotiations that were detrimental to our development. They've engaged in decision-making processes that have taken Africa in the wrong direction. So to them, I say, as I receive this award on behalf of the brave black women around the world, men in Africa, if you cannot get this right in the positions that you currently hold, we ask you to move over. Gender parity is a must. We must take our position as women on the table. And to you women I say, when the men will not give you a chair at the table, take the damn chair and create your seat. No more shall we allow men to look at us as second-class citizens. Absolutely no. We have a responsibility to our children. We have a responsibility even to them, the men sitting at the table making all the wrong decisions for Africa. We have a responsibility for them because we gave birth to them. So as mothers, we must remind the men in our lives that without us, they wouldn't be. So as such, we demand respect. We demand a seat at the table. Our youth are hurting. Our youth are suffering. Our youth are tired. They just want us to make the right decisions in those positions that we hold. Our youth deserve better. So to our youth, I say once again, if your leadership is misusing your natural resources, replace them. If your leadership is not representing you well at the world stage, replace them. If your Minister of Education is not recommending the proper reading materials in the educational system, replace him or her. At this university, Kwame Nkrumah books must be absolutely required reading. You must not graduate out of this university unless you have mastered Kwame Nkrumah's readings and Pan-Africanism. There's one more book, Chancellor, that I would like to request that it also be part of the curriculum at this university and hopefully all African universities. It's a book written by one former CIA agent, one who has done horrible things in his life, and he has made a decision that before he dies, he is going to share the truth and nothing but the truth. He has decided they say the CIA is in the room. Okay, we're back. This gentleman has decided he is going to speak the truth to power before he lies down in his grave. The book is titled Confessions of the Economic Hitman. I repeat, Confessions of the Economic Hitman. You all must download it. If you don't like reading, it has a beautiful audio book. It narrates clearly how the destruction of Africa was done and how it continues to be done by the superpowers of this world. If our children are going to mount the revolution that I see happening now, if they're going to mobilize in a meaningful way, if they're going to create that meaningful unity of purpose, our children must be armed with knowledge. They must clearly define who the enemy is. For when you know who the enemy is, you can better strategize. That book, as I read it, I got angry. I wept. I looked around at some that I considered friends. You see, these agents from Europe, from all over the Western powers, they come in many colors. I must reiterate, the book will help you identify those wolves that are coming to you in sheep's clothing. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. In the future, we will explore several questions related to the decolonization of Africa, support for Dr. Arikana by Black women in the USA, and support for African youth by Black students in the USA. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content on Africa's youth revolution and the future of our motherland. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. How do you think African youth and women can continue to push this decolonization revolution forward?